We read in the Parsha regarding the Sanhedrin, and they give a psak, a ruling on something which was unclear. You should do based on what they tell you. And you should observe it and keep it as they direct you. It's interesting. Once discussed, we find the two terms. There's a term Haggadah and there's a term Sipur. There's Lahagid and there's Lasaper. What's the difference between Lahagid and Lasaper? So once mentioned in the Malbim, Sipur comes, the root of the word is Mispor. When you tell over just numerous facts, that's a Sipur story. But it's not something novel, not something which is informative. So it's a Sipur. Haggadah is something which is informative, something which is new, something which touches you in a way because you weren't aware of it. That's Haggadah. For instance, Vigato Levincha, there's a mitzvah of mitzvah Sibut Yisroyim, Vigato Levincha, that when you tell over the story of the Shibud, the bondage and the redemption, as if it's the first time. It's with the same fresh, with the same newness. Although there's a chiyuv tefillah, according to Rambam, once a day, rabbinically, 3 times a day, but nevertheless, when we stand and have the ordinance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's Hashem Sosaitif Toch Ufi Yagid Tilo Secho. Our lips, our mouth should be magid. We're saying the praise as if it's the first time we're saying the praise. We feel the specialness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence. Ufi Yagid Tilo Secho. What they tell you, meaning it's something you were baffled, you weren't aware of. The other Bati Dinim, the rabbinic courts, they weren't able to decide. You have to go to the Sanhedrin Agdola, the High Court, and they told you, they're telling something which is novel, something which initially you may have not even took on that position. Of course, the halach is if you have a dispute among lower courts, and they're not able to resolve the dispute, you go up to Yerushalayim, to the Bezna Godel, to the Sanhedrin Gedolah, and they are the ones who give you that ruling exactly. They will tell you something that you weren't aware of, so this is a newness, this is a novelness, what they're giving you. The Torah which they direct you, and the ruling which they tell you, you should not deviate. For what they tell you, you almost not to the right, to the left. So Rashi cites the famous Chazal, even they tell you your right is your left, and your left is your right. And there's no question if they tell you your right's your right and your left's your left. But even if they should tell you that your left is your right and vice versa, you must listen and submit and accept what they say. I mean, if they tell you your left is your right and your right's your left, I mean, how do you accept it? So of course it's obvious. Although we may perceive it as the left is your right, the Torah tells us, because they understand better, therefore when they tell you your left is your right, that means you're totally confused. What you believe is one thing, it may not be. The Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva, he cites the words of the Navi when he says, the Rambam says, just as we have a Cholei Haguf, there's a physical ailment, there's a Cholei HaNefesh. A person could be ill on a spiritual level. And he cites the Pasuk when the Navi gave Musar to Klal Yisrael before the Churban HaBayis with the destruction of first Beis HaMikdash. The Navi says, Omram al or choshev ha-choshech or. What they call light, darkness, and darkness, light. Their perception of what life is and what good is, it's that everything is converted. Converted, the negative is the positive, and positive is the negative. That's the way they saw it. And they told the Navi, he sees it wrong. And they rejected his words. And there was a churban because of this. Yamin, small, yamin. Even if you tell you that, but if you say, how could it be? The answer is you don't understand. That's the answer. Torah says, because they have an understanding which you don't understand. We find Chazal tell us, based on a pasuk, that the Gedolei Torah are called Einei Ha'om. They're the eyes of the people. Why they're the eyes? So the Malbim explains, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the human body, the eyes are in the highest part of the body. Why the eyes the highest part? Because if you want to maximize on the sight, to have less obstruction, it's the highest part of the body. The Gedolei Torah, the Sanhedrin, these people, they see, they're visionaries, they see things which the ordinary person doesn't see. They're the Einei Ha'om. They're the eyes of the people. The same thing. They may tell you something which seems to be absurd. In your mind it may be absurd, but that's the reality of life. And that's what the Torah tells us. Afil yom l'cha yagid l'cha. And like you're taken aback. Hagodah. It's something you're taken aback. You mean small, you mean you have to follow their words. Because what you believe to be one thing is not the reality, but rather what they tell you.